lidt mærkeligt at være tilbage her.
Sandholm Asylum Camp in the north of Zealand, Denmark. 26-year-old Jamil Ghaffuri is back to see the place where he spent his first months in Denmark after fleeing from his home country.
Bag det her træer, bag alt det der hegn, det her en skæbne bliver bestemt.
Jamil and his family came to Denmark from Afghanistan in 2001. Before being granted asylum, they spent a total of 18 months in Danish asylum camps. 18 months of uncertainty that Jamil will never forget.
Man ved slet ikke, om man kan få asyl her, om man får lov til at være her, eller om man skal et andet sted, og hvad den er spillende, hvad der sker med en.
In Denmark, asylum seekers live in a sort of parallel society. They are not allowed to live or work outside of the camps while their case is being examined, a process that can take several years.
Der er ikke noget godt i at blive placeret i sådan en flygtningeghetto, hvor måske 20% er traumatiseret, 10-20% er deprimeret, og resten sidder og græder.
But all of this is about to change.
A new asylum agreement was recently made here at the Danish Parliament. The purpose is to improve living conditions within the asylum camps. And one of the main points is to allow asylum seekers to obtain jobs outside of the camp 6 months after their arrival.
The living conditions of asylum seekers are a top priority for left-wing party Enhedslisten.
We've seen much too many asylum seekers who have been sitting at the centers for months and years, living lives that are really not worth living.
Enhedslisten have been putting pressure on the government to change the current conditions in asylum camps. Compared to other European countries, this new asylum agreement is by no means revolutionary. But for Enhedslisten, it is their first victory in an ongoing struggle.
This new agreement between our party and another party and the government is sort of changing fundamentally the view on asylum seekers. They are allowed to enter the labor market and they will be able to live among the Danes, and we hope that this will lead to that they are considered part of society in a way that they have not been until now.
However, not everyone in Parliament agrees with the new policy.
Når man forbedrer forholdene ved for eksempel tilladelse til arbejde, jamen så retter man menneskesmuglerne deres fokus på Danmark, og så vil der flere, der vil forsøge at få asyl i Danmark.
With an unemployment rate hovering just above 6%, party members of Venstre point out that there are simply no jobs to be found. But Enhedslisten emphasizes that it is a matter of principle.
Well, I did not say that there will be jobs for these people. They have the possibility to apply for jobs.
The asylum plan is expected to be enacted by next spring and will cost around 280 million Danish kroner, or 50 million American dollars. Einstrup Asylum Camp is a typical example of what everyday life is like for thousands of refugees across Denmark. Here their days are occupied by monotonous tasks and mundane forms of entertainment. A life that often leads to depression and post-traumatic stress.
Psykologer taler om, at der er noget, der hedder chokenergi. Det bruger vi, det lyder lidt upræcist, men i virkeligheden handler det om, at overlevelsesdriften kommer til at dominere inde i en. Og det smitter altså. Vi er jo sociale væsener. Og hvis der er en, der har angst og faktisk har været udsat for livstrusler, og går med den der angst stadigvæk, så smitter det altså.
Having no endpoint in sight is one of the main problems.
So they've been waiting for many months, even years, before the authorities have been able to deal with and decide their applications, and this will change. The time it takes will be cut into half now.
Det er militærområdet.
Back in Sandholm, Jamil Ghaffuri feels it is well worth it to care for people who have risked their lives coming to Denmark.
Altså, det er jo bestemt ikke for sjovt at flygte, for ellers kunne man jo ikke kalde det for flygtning, eller sådan, så kunne man jo godt kalde det for en rejse. Altså, hvis man skulle rejse eller sådan, ikke? Ja, det er jo, altså, du opgiver alt, hvad du har.
Jamil and his family were granted asylum in 2003. They were the first Afghan family to obtain asylum in Denmark after 9/11.
Jeg kan huske, jeg var så glad, at jeg gik i skole den dag. Jeg var virkelig, virkelig glad den dag. Altså, både min mor og min far og så videre, de jublede. Og jeg har heller ikke set min far eller min mor smile og grine sådan rigtigt, eller være glad sådan rigtigt i lang tid. I virkelig lang tid, jeg ikke har set det. Men den dag, der kom bare smil på læberne.
With the new agreement, Jamil hopes that in the future, refugees will have a more pleasant stay in Denmark. regardless if they are eventually granted asylum or not. Kelsey Podlowski, Denmark.